Hello and welcome back to the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. Officially, we're a podcast where we get together and chat about TV, but unofficially, guys, I'm just trying to talk through my existential crisis. That's the real truth here. Uh, and joining me today on my free therapy this week, unfortunately, the Blood Brothers have been split up once again, but I have Tamara here, and God, I'm pretty sure she speaks Vietnamese.
A
Tamara,
little
do you
bit,
speak
yeah, sure.
Vietnamese? Oh, okay. Guys, it's Tamara. Welcome.
Oh,
Like we, we're casting extras and we weren't actually sure, like, because you didn't have any lines at first, so I wasn't sure if you spoke Vietnamese, but now. So, hi Tamara, how
I
are you
was giving
doing?
Dollywood. I'm good. I'm good. I'm perplexed after this episode a little bit, but I'm
Oh,
good.
that's interesting because anyway, I won't get that's interesting because I think I'm come with a completely opposite view from you. But let's before we get into all of that, guys, our sister film podcast is This Cinema is back. They're back for leading up to summer season. So on this same feed, you don't have to go anywhere. Later this week on Wednesday, the episode on challenges will be out. By the time hopefully Tamara would have watched the film and
Hopefully.
change her opinions. And then later in the week on Friday, they're going to talk about the upcoming, or by the time you listen to this, it has already come out, film Hannah Hathaway and Nicholas Galitzine, The Idea of You, which is based on a book, which I think was inspired or based on a Harry Styles fanfic. I don't know. It's a weird
It
history of
was.
that. Of the yeah, I'm not really sure what the history of that story is, but yeah, they're gonna talk about that, and they're gonna do their favorite quote unquote "I'm Just a Girl" films. I have no idea what that means. They
We
asked
know
for
what it
that
means.
title. I gave it to them, and that's what they are doing. So I hope please check that out. I'm sure to listen to episode on what the "I'm Just a Girl" recommendations are. Yeah, and obviously we're talking about Sympathizer the rest of the season. So, okay, episode 4 is titled "Give
Mhm.
Us Some Good Lines." It is written by series creators and showrunners Park Chan-wook and Don McKellar, and is directed by Fernando Mireles. Like we said, it's the first episode that Park Chan-wook isn't directing. He's directed his 3 for the season. Um,
You can feel
there's
that
some
he's
things in this
gone.
episode I want. Oh, okay.
A
This
little
is
bit. A
okay.
little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
So there are some things that we're going to talk about. I think the episode really brought up some topics that I want to discuss head on. But before that,
Okay.
why don't you just give me your general overview of the
I
episode? Just your
was
general thoughts.
bored. I was entertained
Oh,
but bored because, like, obviously, what was happening was things were happening. But I was like, okay, in terms
mm-hmm.
of this story, what the hell? Why are we here? This is a lot. This is long. What? Get to the point. What is the point?
Mm-hmm.
I was a bit bored. I was a bit bored. I was like,
This is
this is
I
not. I should not be bored for episodes in. I should be locked in. You should be moving me. Maybe this should have been episode 5. I don't know, but I was, especially after last week, where I was like, okay, I see what we're doing, and then this week I was like, I don't know what we're doing again. You have lost me.
I like this so much because and I want to start by apologizing to you and to everyone listening because I've realized that like I am very predictable because I loved this episode. I've once something is talking about Hollywood and filmmaking and satirizing or criticizing or glamorizing whatever about film,
It
like
was
I'm always
funny.
locked in.
It was funny. It was a
And
good episode. Honestly.
but I like that not so far apart, but we're on different sides of this because this will make this conversation very interesting actually.
Mm.
Because this is so far my best episode of the season.
Really?
Um, yeah,
Wow.
I
What? Okay, let's from the beginning. I
yeah,
need
and
the.
so so um, you you mentioned that before because I want to reintroduce or introduce some of the characters that we got in this because this is the first episode we're really getting like new characters that play parts in the story.
Hmm,
You mentioned that Park Chan Wook's absence was felt for you.
a little
In
bit,
what
yeah.
way?
There
You
was nothing dynamically interesting happening on the screen. I was like, okay, normally there'd be something to keep me going, wha? But yeah, there'd be something to keep me intrigued. This was all very, it's quite plain. Even the manifestation of this guy's guilt. Last time we saw it, it was all interesting and there was like, the cool blood spatter and the thing. And this time it's just this guy popping up going, hello.
mm,
I was like, this is lazier. Very, a little bit, not lazier, just not as fine tuned, maybe.
Okay, so this is interesting because, like I mentioned, Fernando Morales did Sugar. He did most of Sugar that TMT Buchanan have been discussing,
I still haven't watched this.
and some of his tricks. That's fair. So you and like everybody else in the world, because nobody knows about Apple
That's
TV
number
shows.
one right now.
Um,
So these 18,000 people that watch it, they're
on
having a
Apple
great
TV,
time.
yeah, exactly.
Having a-
The number one on Apple TV means something different to number one on Netflix.
exactly.
Um, no, but I know, and I think if I showed this episode to TNT or Ebuka, they will probably agree with me because we know some of the tricks that he was performing on Sugar, and
Mm.
he carried them over here. And I think maybe in the context of Park Chan-wook transitioning from a rotary phone to a car wheel, it seems normal.
Hmm.
But because I know what it is, comparing it to normal stuff, it's different. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
on its own, it's like, oh, that's because when you're watching Sugar, when we were the first episode, we're not expecting anything special. So when we say, we're like, oh,
Mm.
that's different. But after coming off 3 episodes of Park Chan Wook doing like incredibly insane shit, you're like, that seems normal. But actually, it's not
It's
normal
not
because if
normal. Oh,
somebody
don't get
came
me
and did a
wrong. Oh.
normal,
It's not
yeah,
normal, but it's just not the same vibe.
it's
It's
not,
stylistically very
yeah,
different. It's like they told him, "You do
it's
you,
definitely.
sir." And I'm like,
Oh,
"So why did you
I
spend
think they
three
definitely did because
episodes back to back showing me one thing?" Like,
when you introduce me to a vibe, you can't maintain.
like, why would you do that? Why not
Because I
save
think
him for the finale? Why give me pa 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 bye?
Yeah. 'Cause I think the biggest thing, like at least that could impact, apart from in terms of stylistic directing, was the way he was editing things. Like he he did some Sugar as well, where somebody could be talking, but it would be a different action you're seeing on screen. So
Mm,
like RDJ is looking at Huashande's character, but what he's actually saying is from the next scene or from the previous scene. If that makes sense. So like the cutting is never really it's not following what they're saying. I hope that's the way of it. So like a
Yes,
conversation could be going on, but the action you're seeing is from that. And that's something that he did here as well. And
which
it
I
I guess
enjoyed.
it again, it's like if this was the blacklist, you'd be like, that's a random shot. I don't know why I just pulled it out of my head. But if this was the
Yeah,
blacklist, you'd be like, oh, that is very interesting and intriguing. But because like you said, we've come with 3 episodes of Park Chan-wook doing insane,
some cool
stupid shit, you're like, oh,
shit.
that seems normal. I do think if you went back to like rewatch the episode, you're like, okay, that I can see some of the things that are different. But we've established. Let's talk about the actual episode itself, the story.
Okay,
So I want to just
okay.
quickly introduce some of the characters. The first one is we saw him end of episode 3. Is actually no. And before I go there, I think I realized well because like I mentioned last week, there's something that was holding me back,
Hmm.
and I think I'm gonna figure what it is.
What?
And I don't know if it relates to your own thoughts or if it's completely different. But I think I was approaching the show as a straightforward spy story in the
Hmm.
sense that like this is the task. The spy has to go do this task. He has to betray somebody. He has to like get this thing. He has to go to his supervisor, kind of thing.
Hmm.
But but thinking about it now, four episodes in, I think these had really. It's not once. It might become the last half of the season, and maybe when you look at the whole season as a whole, be like, oh, this was the grand story. But for now, it feels like just like chapters in this character's life in
Mm-hmm.
America,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, oh, this is the chapter where he's working at the university. This is the chapter where he like has to kill somebody on 4th of July. This is the
Mm-hmm.
chapter where he's working on in Hollywood. I was expecting like a Little Drummer Girl or The Night Manager or Homeland. Insert spy story
Something.
here in
Yeah.
which like
Yeah.
episode flows into episode and is one story. And I think because it's like it's the thing, all TV shows kind of like they tell you how you should watch them. They
Yeah.
tell you what kind of story they are. And I think I was thinking it was one thing, but it's actually something else.
But what is
And
it? That's
I
my
think
problem. What is it?
so
Because me, I wanted a spy.
I
I
think
did
it
not ask them to confuse me along the way. I wanted a spy story.
so yeah, so I think what we want is different from probably what they give us. But like I think it's
But
for
what are they
now, my
giving
thinking
us?
is that I think it's like a mosaic. I think it's like different stories about this Vietnamese person assimilating to American culture.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe at the end it will come up to be a proper painting. But it's not like a paint by the numbers, like you start at the left and you finish at the right. It's just
Yeah.
different splatters of story. And like, so each episode, it's its own chapter. Each episode is its own story, not heavily reliant on the episodes before and after.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like the way I thought Claude was going to be in every episode, and Claude was going to be like, "Where's my updates? Have you gone to this place? Have you gone to talk to this person?" Kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
But
yeah.
and
I
I think it was this
mean,
episode that
mm,
showed it to me, because and it maybe this episode is like the outlier. Maybe the next three will be one story in their own. I
mm,
don't know. We'll find out as we watch them. But like for now, it was just like, oh, this is like an excursion. This is a 4 month
mm.
excursion into
Yeah, four
a
months.
Vietnamese story. Yeah, like what they say, 17 weeks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That was I was like, oh, okay. And then I think when I approach it that way, it makes it easier to appreciate each story on each episode on its own merits and
Mm.
its own like strengths and weaknesses. As thinking instead of thinking like, where is this going? Or what is the larger story? I'm just like, okay, I appreciate the story you've told in this 1 hour. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay, from that angle, that does make sense. But then even at that, no, because they sold me this is a spy story. They spent 3 episodes saying this is building
But
up to
did they
some
do?
cool spy shit. I don't know. I just thought this episode was very, as you said, we don't know where they're going next week, but I thought this episode was very, the whole time I was just like, okay, where is this going? And that's because the last
So
three episodes, I felt like we were going somewhere. And the last episode, especially, I felt like, okay,
fair
I'm on the journey. I'm finally in the bus. I've been
with
running after the
him.
bus since, but now I'm on the journey with us. And then they just kick me the hell
Yeah.
out. So now I'm back on the street. Like, I don't know. I
Like
don't know.
I am pretty sure there's definitely going to be spycraft. Like we know where he ends up. We know he ends up
Yes,
in
which, and
a
then they
Vietnamese
reminded
prison.
us at the end, just in case you thought,
Yeah.
oh, it's not a spy
So
story.
like I do think it's a spy story. I'm just saying maybe it's not
It's not the
the like one
usual.
episode. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
the
I
alternative
understand
could be
this
that.
this episode was like its own thing. It was its own, as you said,
Yeah. So
chapter.
exactly. So the
But
alternative
I'm
could be
waiting to
that
see what it
one
adds to the overall story.
fair.
Mm.
I asked something I think we'll only find out when we finished it. Like so, the alternative could be that one, two, three are like a story, five, six, seven are a story, and then four is just this middle part because they want to talk about like Asian representation in cinema.
Mm.
Maybe
Mm.
right, so maybe like it's just this pause essentially in the middle of the larger story. Again, it's one of those things I don't think we'll know until we actually.
I
But
think so.
luckily, I was like, I'm just gonna, and I think because this was something that was talking about a topic that I really enjoy and I really love, it was easier for me to just be like, okay, I'm gonna turn off my brain for everything else and just focus on this 1 hour
Mm.
because I like this 1 hour. This is what I care about. So
Yes.
it might. So what could happen is that we finish the season. We're like, oh, that episode 4 was actually kind of unnecessary and terrible, wasn't
Or be
it?
like, that was the best one.
You get what I mean? I think
Yeah.
we wouldn't know until we've actually like
We've
seen the
moved
whole
past.
thing. But let's
Yeah,
talk about
yeah.
this episode, this 1 hour. So
Okay.
some of the new characters. Nico Damanius, who is a two-time Oscar-winning director and writer, played by RDJ. Um,
He's
this is
my
probably
favorite
my favorite.
RDJ
Yeah,
variation.
I was
He's
gonna
my
say the exact
favorite.
same thing. And I think. Oh, why do you think he's your favorite? Let me start with you.
I like how he thinks. The rest of them have been very. I understand the
Mm,
pockets they're supposed to be in, and they're kind of not the best. But this guy, everything he
hmm
says, I'm kind of like, how do I agree? Why do I see your points? Why
Do
do I see where you're coming from? He's an artist, okay? He's a true artist.
yeah.
Not racist, a bit uppity, but like a true artist, and I
Uh-huh.
respect that. I like that.
Yeah. His peculiarities are more in him as a character
Mm.
and less the affectations that he's putting on. He doesn't have an accent or
Hmm.
whatever, or like,
He's
and I
just an
think,
interesting guy.
yeah, it's just like you're right. How he thinks, how his brain works, how he wants to achieve his art, the things you agree with, and the things you think, I shouldn't be agreeing with that, but I see your
I
point.
see.
And I think, just to be clear, I do think it's intentional because I think Professor Hammond, who is the professor, needs to be that weird and that out there for
Mm,
like Nico and even Claude to seem more realistic. Like if you think of other people that have played wild characters, like someone like Eddie Murphy playing characters in Coming to America, right? Some of them need to be so out there so that the prince seems like a normal human being.
mm, mm, mm.
Because like, and you can't have all of them be normal, and at the same time you can't have all of them be out
Be a
there.
little, yeah, there needs to
So,
be mix.
and I think it's the character in the book is inspired. Obviously, last week we mentioned about how they're going to talk about just different actors that made their Vietnam War movies, and I know the character is heavily inspired by Francis Ford Coppola.
Mm.
But I think I read somewhere that Downey based this performance on like his own dad because his dad was like a
Mm.
director in like the 60s and 70s. Yeah, like this counter, very low, underground kind of filmmaking, like counterculture in the 60s and 70s. So it kind of be, I think you can, and maybe me reaching, but you can feel that groundness in the character. You can feel that
Mm.
like
You can. You actually
everything
can.
he's doing is based in reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Ryan Glenn, who plays Captain Seamus in the film, is played by David Duchovny.
So good
He's
at. I love
and,
David
and
Duchovny. So I was so happy. It was
he's an intense
hilarious.
method actor. So he has like racism. He
Mm-hmm.
leaves dead animal heads. He's a dick on. You know the hits, the
Mm-hmm.
method acting hits. Like
Mm-hmm.
he has that.
Jared
James
Leto
Yu
plus.
plays like yeah. James Yu plays Como Kim, who is played by John Cho. He in the story he's like Hollywood's go-to Asian actor. John Cho just continues his record of like just being the absolute best presence. Because I was like, oh, when is this guy's heel turn gonna happen? And just it just
Mm.
never happened. He never became a dick, and that was very impressive. And I think I like it because you get the impression that he too is like a method actor, but like one, he's not going around saying I'm a method actor, and also two, he's like not being a dick because like you see
Yeah.
him
He was just chilling,
in
like
that
for a scene, for
yeah
an intense
yeah
scene.
it was
Just
like
he didn't make a
I'm going to
big
be
deal
here
out
for
of it.
4 hours.
Just gonna chill here. Just
Exactly.
feel a little
Exactly.
tortured. I'll have some water though, but
And I'm
yeah.
not yeah, and I'm not going to go down the whole defending method actor route. But like
He's a
there's a difference between
professional.
the
I liked that.
exactly. There's a difference between those who like do their work internally and like they do whatever they need to do their own process, and those who like I have to send dead rats to Margot Robbie because that's what the Joker would do.
Yes.
That's not method acting. That's just being a dick.
That's
Those
just
are
being an
they're
asshole.
two different things. It's just
Yep.
two different things.
Yep.
So I like the way they show that. And then the final new person we get to see is Jamie Johnson, who plays Sergeant Bellamy, who's like this new African American actor, kind of soul trained. He's like the star of the film and everything. Okay, I want to talk about some things that the show episode brought out for me, which made it quite interesting for me because I knew they were going to talk about like obviously filmmaking and Hollywood and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, the first thing I think from the first scene we get is like when Nico says he wants to give the perspective of the Vietnamese without actually giving them words to say. It's just like they're like, oh, okay, thanks,
Not
thanks,
one
bro,
line. Do you know how funny that is?
thanks, bro. And he's like, oh, my idea
I
was to
want
have
to
everybody be
feel
quiet. And I was like,
it.
yeah, but the white people are talking though. And it's like, again, all these things you don't need to like. The line is not that long for you to draw from A to B. We know this people who like, oh, I'm gonna give women a voice in this film, but like their voices that what they just like get assaulted, which we'll talk about. Trust me. Or like they are the victims, and maybe in the end they kill someone. They're like, oh yes, women get a
There
voice.
we
I'm like, okay,
go.
thank you, I
Feminism.
guess. um, yeah. So okay, let me start with this. So there's this quote I've been seeing recently. It's not a new quote; it's a very old quote actually, but like I said, I think it's from Francois Truffaut, who says he said there's no such thing as an anti-war film.
Mm.
And I found it interesting because at the beginning of this, Nico is like, we're going to make this anti war film. He says, what does he say? If we do this right, we can drag the whole sham artifice of war down with us to hell. So
Yeah.
he's thinking like, we're gonna be like war is shit
Gonna
and
be.
we're
It's
hippies
gonna make an
and fuck
impact.
Vietnam War. Exactly. But then what does he end up doing? Like, and I think the idea of not being an anti-war film is that whatever you do, you will still make war either look cool or you make some people in like the army the good guy. So in the end, like America, quote unquote, is the good guy, and it's just some bad eggs. Like in this case, Captain Seamus is the bad egg for attempting to rape the Vietnamese
Yeah,
woman,
yeah,
and Sergeant Bellamy is the good guy. So America is still good,
yeah. We
or
have the
even in
occasional
the
bad egg, but we're heroes at the end of the
exactly,
day.
ex- and then like how does the movie end now? The movie ends with this like kind of like big explosion in
Mm-hmm.
which people are flying and things are flying out of a helicopter, and you're like, that's cool. So has it really been? Have you really told us that war is bad? Like, is it really an anti-war film?
Told
If
us
like
a
it still
cool
looks,
movie. The war looks awesome.
yeah, it's like people are going to sign up. Like, oh, that fucking looks so cool. I'm going to join. So I like the idea that he thinks he's doing this big anti-war thing, and it just devolves into like every other war film.
Yep.
Like in the end, it's just like what? Yeah, you show people die. People die in war. That's not a new thing to us. Like it's just another war film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because I'm not really sure what my understanding of what the commandant says at the end of the episode to the captain, where he's like, "You just fell for the Hollywood machine, essentially. Like you thought you were going to change it, but then you just fell
Yeah.
for the indulgences." And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what he meant. Like in the end, you just became part of basically
Part of
their
the machine.
propaganda.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on that, or did I kind of
I
cover it?
mean, you. Yes, I love how you explain the whole thing, and then at the end go, "Do you have any additional thoughts?" No, I think you covered it all, and I think it's also rings. It rings very true to the filmmaking experience, where everybody comes in with a whole big plan, and it's like, "We're going to
Mm-hmm.
change the world. We're going to do this. We're going to do that." At the end of the day, you're going to make entertainment. That's the that's
Yeah.
the crux of why you're
Yeah.
here. And I don't think at any point that he sort of fell prey to the propaganda. I feel like he knew from jump what he was doing. He knew it was fucked up. He didn't agree, but he was like, "This is call out said I should be here, so I guess I'm here." But I
Mm-hmm.
feel so. I thought it
Mm-hmm.
was unfair when they were not unfair. I just thought it was weird when they were like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
For a
So
minute, you believed it. I'm like, "Did you? Did
I've
you?"
tried so hard to make sense of that line from the commandant because I too felt like it was a bit. I was like, huh. I don't
Yeah.
know if I agree with that, but like because that comes after he says like he was squinting, hoping that Sir Chandra Oho, to your point, isn't like one scene this episode. So I'm sorry.
A waste.
Like
maybe
he was like,
maybe they didn't
is
pay her full
she?
fee. I don't know. Anyway.
Well, she's very good friends with Don McKellar, who's the co-creator. So
She just stopped by when she was free. Because
it
really.
was like, do you want to come and do 5 scenes for us?
Yeah.
So yeah, I found. So I'm trying to. I was trying to make sense of that line. I was like, okay, maybe that's kind of what he meant, but it did. After watching twice, I was like, I still don't fully understand what he
Yeah.
meant here.
I mean, literally, he knows he's giving these guys lines to say that, like, anybody who understands the film, who is not
Mm-hmm.
American, who watches it, and or even just has
That was
subtitles, will
so.
see, hey,
That
this
was
is
so funny.
that was so funny. So I feel like he
That was
was
so funny.
anti this film the whole time. He was like, I will not assist in your propaganda. I have to be here because I'm spying shit, but like, I will fuck it up every step along the way. And then
That was so funny. I
towards the end,
remember.
it just started to make him lose his mind a little bit.
I remember when Trevor Noah made an appearance at the Oscars.
Mm.
Obviously, I can't verify this, obviously, but then he was speaking in his language. Um, and I saw on Twitter that someone in South Africa translated and was saying that people, this is why people don't know what I'm saying. They think I'm saying something special. That's what they said. I can't verify, but that's what Twitter said he was saying.
Yeah.
But I found that so funny
That's so
because like
funny.
because all the people in the audience on the Oscars were clapping, thinking he had said something so profound. I was just like, this is why people don't know what I'm saying. And I was just thinking about that here because like this Nico thinks that the person is saying, "Oh, don't shoot" or whatever. I remember she's just basically giving Viet Cong propaganda in this
Yeah.
anti-Viet Cong film. It was just so funny, actually. Or even like,
He
but
was
even
using
funny.
the
I was one.
propaganda for propaganda. I was like, that guy is
Right? Yeah,
thinking.
yeah. He's thinking ahead. Let's talk about because we haven't. I felt bad because we've done 3 episodes. I don't think we've spoken about Hua Shunde's performance as the captain because he's in
So,
basically every scene.
what do you think about his performance?
Do you not like his performance?
I am now skewered. So I've enjoyed his performance so far. But today, when I was
Yeah.
watching this episode, my boyfriend was just in the corner. And at some point, he just randomly goes, "This guy isn't good." And I'm like, it was unprovoked. And since then, and he said it halfway through the episode, so I'd enjoyed
But,
3.5 episodes with no problem.
but
And for the rest of this, I was like,
I mean, what I'm getting from here is that you say you're very easy to
well, because
convince
before
even
I
your
wasn't
boyfriend.
paying attention just because he's in every scene. So he's just there, and
Yeah.
I thought he was all right. And I like his face a lot. I think he's quite
Mm-hmm.
low. He's cute little Asian. So I've just been enjoying seeing him. But after that, I was like, well,
Do you know
I think
what
he's
scene your
delivering
boyfriend
what I can't
was?
remember. I can't remember. I don't even think he was doing something particular. It was one of the, as I said, he starts to unravel halfway through. So it was like in
Yeah.
the early stages of the unraveling. He was just like, so. That was me. So I rewatched that
Um.
scene, and even I was like, no, no, he carries it. I'll give him that. I think
Okay.
he's carrying it very well, especially since this is like
Yeah.
his first major role,
Yeah. Yeah. And
and
he's
he's
in basically
against
every like.
RDJs, against all
Yeah.
these, like he's doing the needful for me. Will
And
he
he's
win an
doing a lot
Emmy?
in
I don't
terms.
know, but
Well, probably not because this will be he'll be a lead in limited series, and he'll probably be going up against um Hiroki Sanada for
will
Shogun.
he
So
be
probably not.
nominated? Like,
I don't know.
I
Depends on how
don't
this
think
show
so.
depends on how this show is perceived. Um, I I've, I haven't been floored by his performance, but I've generally liked it, and I have not had reason to think he wasn't good. Let me put it that
Yeah,
way,
he's doing his
because he's
work.
doing a
He's
lot,
doing what he was paid to
and
do.
it's a lot of work though.
Yeah,
Like he's playing like four characters within this one character.
yeah,
Like he has to be the American sympathizer, he has to be the Viet Cong sympathizer, he has to be the cute little Asian, he has to be at points the nice boyfriend. It's a lot of character in this one character. So I've never
yeah.
really felt. Um, I would say though, the sequence with the production designer was impeccable to me. Like I felt like you could feel him. And this is when she's showing him the village and everything. Maybe it's me. Maybe I was
Yes.
projecting. I don't know. But I was like, I could
I
feel
don't. I
like
was
he
about to
was.
say it was a good scene. I could so. Yeah, yeah. I could. He looks
The
in.
scene.
I could feel the nostalgia. I could feel it, and he did try. He tried. He tried. But was I like, oh my god, this boy is acting? No. I just thought I was more impressed with the production design. I was like, you go, bitch. This is good. This looks
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
This is.
I think what we've established is that you have an incredibly high benchmark for acting performances.
Not just
Apparently,
high, not just
I
high.
just
It's just.
I I I don't understand what you want from people, but
I feel
apparently,
like there's like three tiers. There's like shit. There's can act, can deliver the lines, can do what needs to be done, which is a lot of act. And then there's you are born to do this. This is in your blood. Like this is you. And I feel like
I feel like there are more. I feel like there are more tiers than that, though.
there's
I feel
three.
like that's
There's people in between the three, yeah, but
yeah.
like
Like
those are the three
you
main
have
ones in my head. In my
in
head,
in
just
the things of like you were born to do. You have like generational. You have people that are just like out of this world. What was the last performance you watched where you're like, damn, you know how to act? It doesn't have to be the first time you saw them. Just like you're like, this has blown me for the past hour, the past 2 hours.
this is a weird answer. It's a weird answer. So I randomly watched The Purge yesterday because my friend
Okay,
hadn't seen
the
it.
first one.
The first one, and halfway through, I was like, "If the Hawk is trying, no, he is really." I realized based on what we're talking about, based on how stupid the film is, but like the
I like
guy
that. That was
was,
what you were like. You were
I was
like,
like, "This
not
man
Training
is
Day, not Dead Poet,
no, he's
not
good." But that's just the
not the before
last.
trilogy. You're just like, oh, you know what? This purge thing, Ethan Hawke knows what
No,
he's doing, Sha.
that's how. But that's how. Do you know how hard it is to take garbage like that, and you are still acting on fucking pants? The man is a talent. He's a great
Okay,
talent.
I'm gonna I'm gonna throw out performances at you that I can think of in the last year and see just your instant what your reactions were when you watched them.
Okay, hit me.
Right, Charlemagne in June,
He was very good. He
Austin
was
Butler in June.
he was phenomenal. The boy is
Also,
sick.
that's your
It's in his blood. He's in it. No, it's not
so
in his
he's
blood. He has worked. That is work over there. Because I
yeah
remember this boy in Carrie Diaries. He was
yeah
not like this. He has grown. He has
was
become
on
a
Disney
man.
shows as well.
Bro.
Um, Ryan Gosling and Barbie.
Oh, he was very good. He was having fun. So I was having fun.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to okay, okay. I, so why are you trying to think of where? Because it seems like you generally like things that.
Which
So what's
means
going
maybe
on?
y'all should review all the ones I said I don't like. Like, go back, leave your admiration for them behind, and look at the performance. Go and look at Zendaya
What?
again.
I'm not. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. Um, Margot Robbie and Barbie.
Mid,
Wow. Okay.
not mid. Just I
Um,
feel like we've seen that girl can do more. I think she's a very, very good actress. I don't know if you
Killian
maybe she was
Murphy
busy.
in Oppenheimer.
Ah, amazing. No, it was amazing. Honestly, though, I didn't feel like he had that much work to do, but I feel like the work he
Hey,
had to do, he did it very
I'm not.
well.
That doesn't make sense.
I feel like the script just says looks out window, so I don't feel like. But the key he looked out
Looking
fucking
out a
window.
window is very difficult.
It's
Looking out a
difficult.
window is
That's what I mean.
very
He
difficult.
went up above and beyond to deliver. But I'm very biased with him. I think he's amazing and
Yeah, he
consistently
is.
so.
Mm-hmm. What movie or TV show came out last year? Yeah, Succession. Everyone's good. Bear. Everyone's good. Uh, Ayo Edebiri in The Bear.
Fantastic. Don't do that. Don't do that. We all know that girl is a that
I thought that was
is in her bloodstream.
okay. So we've established that you tend to like lots of actors, but you just seem to have high benchmarks for certain actors. I was gonna go on the racism route, but you liked Ayodebiri and The Bear, so I don't
It's,
actually know.
it's not,
Maybe just
I'm
maybe just pick and choose.
if I can be wild, I can be wild. There's no bias here.
That's fair. Okay, but let's go to what I think is one of the biggest crux of the episodes, also one
So
of the biggest scenes of the episode, and it's when Nico tries to tell Hua, Shonda's character, the captain, that the rape scene is a tribute to his mom's pain.
that was one of the wildest things I have heard. Even if you think it's my guy, even if you think, look, in my mind, this was inspired by, he really said it. He now said, you should thank me. But it
But do you know why it's not even
wasn't
that
a
wild?
lie. That's why I feel like in his mind, he meant it. But,
Yes, but also he's not the first person to say it.
oh, yes, people
Like
have.
he's not said it this literally in this black and white, but like people see, like think about every like rape revenge story written and directed by a man. It's like, oh, we wanted to like show what it
How
means
powerful women
for
are.
how yeah, what it means for her to be raped and like like he literally says the audience will react with visceral revolution. No, sorry, cancer
Revulsion.
revulsion. Why did I write revolution? With visceral revulsion, it will be permanently scarred. It's the right thing to do. Two out of those three things are true because they will react with visceral revulsion. It will be permanently scarred. But is it the right thing to do?
The three things are true because as a director, you want me to remember you. Career wise, is the right thing to do. At the time,
Okay, but
especially,
it yeah, oh yeah, but
it's
is it the right
fucked
thing to
up.
do emotionally for the character? Because what he's saying is that like we need to show the rape in full effect for people to know what it means to be raped. It's like
No, for the character,
really,
no.
and
But
it's
for people to, for him, for his ego, just to
mm,
show that
oh,
he can give people
exactly,
that kind of reaction. He can evoke such a
exactly,
reaction. So
exactly.
it's just so wild he said it. Like I understand why sometimes creators are like, I need to put this in. Filmmakers are like, I need to put this in.
Mm-hmm,
I well, not that I understand, 'cause especially now, it's a bit done to death. There's other ways to show it. There's other ways to do it. But
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
back then, for this era, I can understand why he was like, I wanna do a thing.
Oh
I
yeah,
wanna be edgy.
I think we are meant to hopefully look at this with the the glasses and mindset of 2024, and be like, that's weird that he's doing that. Obviously, in 1970s, it's have actually been probably to have been progressive and to have been applauded as like, oh, look at this brave thing that this man is doing. And I just also think like, because I was thinking a lot about Game of Thrones when he said that line because I remember
That's so
in
funny you said that, but continue. I'll tell you why.
okay, because I remember in the final season of Game of Thrones,
Mm.
I think it was Sansa and the Hound. I think she was talking to, and it was like all the things that she's gone through, and obviously all the rapes that she endured and everything. And then she was like, I am not. This is not verbatim, obviously, but she was like, "I'm not sad that it happened to me because it made me who I am." And I remember reading a review, and people were very critical of that line because it's like, "Why why does this woman need to be happy that like these bad things happen to her?"
It made
Right?
me
And it's kind of
grow.
the same thing. It's kind of the same thing. Like it is not your place as the white man to be like. it's important to show this kind of raping and pillaging of the minorities, and
Yep.
because that's important for the story. Is it? Is it your? It might be, but it's not you to
It's
decide
not you
that.
to, but it's not him to tell the story at all. So I think on that note, he's
Exactly.
already wildly off the mark. So it's like if you already have the audacity for this, of course you would be the kind of person to have the audacity to do that.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, and it. But what was the thing about Game of Thrones? Why did you say
I
that was
think
funny?
because I stopped watching Game of Thrones after like the
Because
rape
of this?
Sansa, after the Hound rape, or after I can't remember who they had.
No,
No, it
no,
wasn't the Hound.
it
Obviously, who
was
was it? Was it
Not Theon, the guy Bolton,
the
Ramsey Bolton, on their
what's
wedding
his
day.
name? The invisible guy. I can't remember.
Invisible guy.
He was in Misfits and he was invisible. That was his thing. I can't remember.
Yeah, yeah. So Ramsey Bolton, Ramsey
That's the
Bolton.
one. Yes, it
Yeah,
pissed
yeah,
me off because I was like, this fucking show. There's like a rape every 10 minutes. How many people is this the only way all your female
yeah,
characters can grow? They just gotta be. And it pissed me
yeah.
off because it didn't happen in the books. I'm like, this one is not that people were doing what the story called for. You were like, you know what they have in the
Yeah.
book as how this babe grew. It's not enough. Let him rape her. What? I didn't watch like the last few episodes of that season, and then my peer pressure convinced me to start the next season. But I was pissed. I was ready to cancel the show forever because I was like, I'm sick of this.
Yeah.
Girls,
So yeah,
women grow in many other ways. We don't need to be rips to now wake up and say, "Ha, I'm a person now. I'm a bad bitch now." Like what?
yeah. No, I agree with you, and like, and that's why maybe he said that in that scene. I just thought of Game of Thrones immediately, and it's just like, yeah, I was like, is it? And like you're telling the, I mean, obviously he's not, but it's his mother's name. Like you're telling the victim how best to tribute this story. It's like
But
it's
what I
clean,
kind of
really.
didn't mind also the I does is she wasn't actually raped. There was still I think it was also trying to tie into his Americans are heroes. If it had been a full on rape scene, I'd have
Hmm.
been a bit like also the mom part, yeah, there was no need. Don't mention my mom. Was
The
his
mom part
mom
was the mom
raped?
part was no,
She had an
but he
affair
just chose.
with the because I
I
actually I
want to
don't
assume
know, you know.
they haven't told us, but my assumption was I wanted to assume because I feel like if she was actually raped, they would have told us. I
But I feel
think
like based on his reaction, now I'm like,
his
was
reaction.
she?
I I had this
This
exact
is
same thought as
how
well.
they're telling us. Now I'm not
Yeah,
sure. I thought mommy was bad
maybe.
bitch. I thought she saw some French man or something. And she was like, "I'm gonna be the first in the village."
But also,
To
fuck. Also, she was a villager, so it's more likely that she was raped. No,
now
no,
that I
because
think about it, you know.
but I think she said that his dad sent the squids as a present now, didn't she? But then
I
why
don't
would his dad never
remember.
keep in touch? Oh fuck. No, you might be right. You know, you might be right though. You might be right.
I
She might
don't
have actually been
remember
raped. She might
because
be,
I just thought, but
it
now
makes more sense that she was raped than because it was a relationship he would have wanted to stay in touch with the captain
no. For
after
what?
after she died. No, if he
Not
it was a relationship that he
necessarily.
actually
If he came,
if
no,
he
I
actually
mean, if
loved
for him, maybe he came. You know, they had a little affair, and then you go back
uh,
to your place, and never
go
think of
back to
this
his
baby
wife.
again. Exactly.
Yeah. Going back to his French wife. Whatever. But yeah, I know because that's a good answer to the question I had following, which was you're right. You said mentioned earlier that like the captain was unraveling in the second half of this episode. And I remember thinking when you get to that final scene that they're shooting with Seamus and everything, I remember thinking, why is he being so irrational?
Lost his mind a
Him
little.
him being the captain. Like I was like, and I think the rape thing might be a good explanation actually, but I think they also lay some groundwork with John Cho being like, look, you can't trust Seamus because he'll be doing some shit. Like basically,
True.
like we
True.
don't actually
True.
know how far this guy's gonna go.
He
This
panicked a
guy's just
bit.
killed. He's killed a deer and everything. So I think the rape thing actually works. But also, what I was thinking, and this might be me galaxy braining it, but I started thinking like
Galaxy.
to him, reality and fiction must be blending in so
Mm-hmm.
much, and that was what
Because
was so
before
interesting. I
the
was like,
rape, he was already moving like this. Before they even thought
yeah,
of that scene, so I think it was getting to him. He started seeing the what's his name? The star. What was he?
the
The guy
guy
he
that he
killed in
killed,
the
the
last one.
major,
He started seeing
yeah,
the major exactly. He started seeing
the
him
donkey.
again. He started just.
His Lana's character has his mom's name.
Mm-hmm.
He not to mention all the like kind of double secret agent stuff he's doing, but like his mom's face and name is on a gravestone
In a
that is
place that looks
actually a
like his
set.
village.
But it's actually a set, and it's like so much of his reality and fiction was blending that he's probably in a state of psychosis where he's like he can't even decipher what is actually real, and
When he went
and
to
I
go and
think it,
pray, that was when I was like, "Oh, this boy, this is not gonna be good.
like
this is not good
bro,
for your mental health, honey."
yeah, that shit is not sacred, right? That's just like props.
That's a
Like,
prop.
yeah, so I was thinking, I was like, that's probably a good way to explain. Like, it's just so much is just there that he doesn't, and obviously we know that Seamus can do weird things, so like
Mm.
it's possible. Between all of us, we don't know. We want to believe that Seamus wouldn't have done it, but we can't say
In
for a
front of
fact.
30 people, even if he started it, nobody else would have said, "Hey, guy,
Oh no,
don't do
no,
this."
no, no! I mean, as in that we can't be sure that his mind wouldn't have wanted. Like, he might have been stopped, but like we don't know how far he would have gone. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
True. And I liked how they
it,
set him up where it's kind of vague. You don't know. I
yeah,
immediately when the scene is disrupted, you see, nah, this guy was in control. He's acting,
it's just an
but
acting.
like
Yeah,
you
exactly.
do see how it could have gone either way.
Yeah. So that was on nothing. I was like, "Ah, why is he?" I was like, bro, you know how movies work. What are you
Hmm.
doing? Calm down. But then I
But
was
that's
like,
another thing. He
his
also
brain.
doesn't know how movies work. This is his first time on a set.
That's
This is his
fair.
first time seeing
It's
such
true.
things. He's already
A lot of
upside
things
down.
he's
It's a
been.
very intense
Yeah.
first experience. It's your first time on a set, which is already full on, and then the whole set looks like your life and things
Mm-hmm.
you've gone through, and it's just you've seen your best friend get killed in like 1,000 different ways. Like,
Another funny sequence.
Bond was something. This was Bond's therapy. Like, it's like,
It
how did
was
she
so
lose
happy.
my
Oh my
one week
god,
when I
bless
got
him.
out? It was so happy.
Oh, bless
Ah,
him.
but then
Oh
on the
my
other
god.
side, the captain is watching this like, holy fuck! Like, hmm.
Mhm.
So I think the
Yeah.
setup towards the meltdown was nice. It was subtle
Yeah.
and it was I understood it. By the time it was happening, I was like, hey, yeah, this guy is
Yeah. Not to mention that his entire life is just a performance and reality. You don't really know what is.
exactly. It must be
Yeah.
so hard to keep that up all the time. And then now you have to keep
Must
that
be
up in this
insane.
environment where already reality is being like this. So it's like I don't even know. I feel like
Hmm.
with the director especially, it was probably him at his like most from the beginning, even from like the very first scene where he goes to his office with the script and he's trying to give him notes, and the guy's like, "Fuck your notes, I know what happened in Vietnam."
Yeah.
Like he lost it a bit then, so I feel like this guy
Yeah.
has always had him like on edge. So at this
Hmm.
point, it was
Even
like,
from last week. Last week
mm-hmm,
in the
yeah,
when he was like, "I'll
he was
fight
just
you."
to branding like as they met. So this guy knows how to get him.
Yeah.
He knows how to.
Has been his trigger. I
Mhm.
wonder why that is. That's so interesting. Like, this is the one. Like, it's not like Professor Hammond calling him like
Maybe it's
all the
because
slurs.
on a certain level, maybe I'm going far here, Sha, but on a certain level, everyone else is kind of
Galaxy Brain,
bullshitting.
welcome.
Everyone else is sort of bullshitting back. So he's giving them
Uh-huh.
bullshit. They're giving him a bit of bullshit. It's equal. But this director just like, this is what's going on in my brain. I'm not forming. This is me. And he's like, fuck is wrong with this? Who is this? What is. It's
I
kind of
love
easier to fake when you know you're getting bullshit back.
yeah, that's true. That's true. That first sequence is so funny. Maybe the most RDJ we ever got. So he's just like, can you be honest? It's like, what's and he's just like, no, as a human being. It's like when war, it's like, are you gonna take everything literally? Like, I'm just like, what are you doing? It's like,
It's like, calm,
why are you so
like,
I was
calm
like,
down.
Jesus, why are you so on edge? Okay. I'll talk about the final scene because
Okay.
this in between the commandant and the captain.
Can't lie, I didn't
Because
understand it. I didn't understand
okay,
it.
that's perfect.
What's
That's perfect because
happening?
I didn't understand either. So I'll just tell you my understanding. What I and you can't agree or disagree because you don't understand it either.
Okay.
No, because I read as the captain trying. This is I'm talking about. This is after like the music starts playing and the captain's like, I don't. I've been re-educated. Um, like you and I think since our re-education, I don't listen to Whiskey or Davido anymore since my re-education. All of that just sounds.
I'm on my knees.
um,
Sorry, continue.
sorry, what was I saying? Yeah, so he says, sorry, I don't like American pop, I don't like American music. I read it as him trying to prove that he's not an American pop culture shill, right? But at the same time, I thought he was like calling out the commandant and his hypocrisy.
Mm.
Like it's like you're saying all this shit, but you're playing American music here.
Mm-hmm. I
Like
thought,
you're
yeah,
listening to someone listening.
yeah.
You're just talking to me about how I'm falling for the Hollywood propaganda, but you're here playing American music,
Mm-hmm.
and then the commandant now has to join in with their anthem to show that he's patriotic,
Yeah.
and it's almost like it's showing who is less hypocritical, which is so weird. I was like, okay, this is a weird flex, but okay. But then, and this might be me again reaching, but like, they are both singing this song, this anthem,
Mm.
and then the credits start to roll, but the American song drowns out their anthem
Oh, I didn't get to that part. I stopped when the
because
credits started rolling.
yeah, because the American song plays through the credits. I'm like,
Ah,
I don't know what that means. We could all have theories and whatever. I was like, that's
it's an
interesting because
interesting
usually,
choice.
usually on shows like this, what would happen is that a version of that song would start playing,
Mm-hmm.
like a professional version of that anthem would start playing over the credits.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the reverse here. So it's like, are they calling bullshit on their patriotism? Are they calling? I don't know what the director meant in that sense, but it was an interesting choice that like it's the American song that then drowned out their singing for the credits. So I was just like, I don't know what it means, but it's worth talking about or worth noting, I guess.
See, this is one of those things here. How do I put it? With arts, it's not really everything that's one will understand. Because
No,
I
it's
was
not.
like, this is, the fact that it even ended with them singing the anthem, I was like, okay, this is artistic, I guess. I'm not
Yeah.
really with you, artist, but I can appreciate you are doing something. Maybe I'll understand. Because they lost me as well from that line when he was like, oh, you fell for the thing. I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
How did you not hear the story this guy just told you? Like, how is that? So, in general, the conversation was very. I get what you mean to a certain extent, the way it was like maybe he's trying to show, no, no, no. Even though I'm listening to all this, I didn't fall for I know it's bullshit, but like, you clearly
Mm-hmm.
did. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
understand. See, I said I didn't like this episode. I don't have the episode. I was like, what are you trying to tell me here? Okay, I
But
get
I
it.
think I think that
Americans are
I
bad
think
for
that's
making
better
this
though.
kind of movie. It was funny. I was amused, but I was also like, this could have been done in a 15-minute sequence inside an episode that had more things happening. I did not need an hour.
I
I
don't
did
know.
not need an hour
Would it though?
of this.
We would have had.
Bomb
We
died
just
for
had.
a minute and a half. A full minute and a half, bomb was dying.
But, but we've just had an hour-long conversation. Obviously, admittedly, most of that is me just talking to the mic. But still, like we just had an hour-long conversation about this episode, and I think it have been better than I don't know, a
I guess
standard.
I'm torn. I like it as a but on its own, just this episode
Yeah,
as it is. I like it.
yeah,
In terms of the overall
mhm.
story, I don't like it. They have lost me. I'm annoyed.
Yeah. And like I said, luckily I went into this episode with that intention to appreciate it as just this episode and not
Mm.
part of the larger story.
See, I wish I'd
Now,
been
maybe
ready.
next week.
If I'd been ready,
mine
maybe.
was just a mine was just a no. I think because I spent all week thinking, what is it that's holding me back? What is it that I'm not getting here? Why am I not fully on board? Because like I said last week, I'm on the train, but I'm not in the first class. So I wasn't really sure,
Yeah.
and I said, okay, maybe because maybe it's something. And maybe next week now I'll come out like, oh no, we're back to regular schedule programming.
I think
And
that's
like I
what
said,
has
it's
me a bit annoyed. The fact that we're this far in and it's like, ugh, where am I? I want to be like every episode. I want to be like, oh, let's go, and I'm not. I'm not that. I'm like, I wonder what the
it
fuck
could
these
be
people
one to
gonna do
three,
now.
1 to 3 part one, 4 interlude, 5, 6, 7 part two.
Maybe this is a more
How about
enjoyable thing as a binge. Maybe it's this week by week. That
nothing's
is.
more
I'm
enjoyable as
gonna
a binge?
nothing.
That's my that's my that's not my
Really.
create that's my
There's
agenda.
some that
Yeah.
that weekly anticipation, that weekly tingle. Like with Succession now, yeah, like, oh, it's nice to binge, but it's sweeter when it's like a weekly, what's gonna happen.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think anything's better as a binge.
Oh, you don't think anything is better? I thought you were saying everything is better as a binge.
Oh no, I don't
It
think
depends
anything's better
though.
as a
Some
binge.
shows need to be binged. Some shows is especially slow burners. It's like let's finish, let's wrap up. I'm not coming back next
If
week. I'm
if
not
you
coming back.
okay, if you're saying the show is not good enough, then maybe.
No, it's just more like the presentation. Some things call for long, drawn out movie form rather than episodic. So
Like
sometimes it
what?
flows nicely into just 8 hours of a story as opposed
But
to
like what? Like what?
I didn't expect you to call me the fuck out. Jeez. um The Bear is a nice binge. The Bear is a
So here's the
nice binge.
I
It
had a feeling you can say about the
flows.
bear. I think the bear would be just as good watching it
Yes, that's not a good
individually.
example because it works individually as well. That's
Yes,
a bad example. Okay,
I
okay.
think the bear is because the bear. The only thing about the bear and binge is that it helps its popularity, 100%. But I think if it was coming out weekly, we would still be fully locked
This
in.
is a bad example because it's on Netflix, which is obviously designed for binging.
Yeah. Hmm.
One day would have been trash if it was a
Okay,
weekly thing. One day was nice to
that's
just
fair.
let's go.
That's
Not
fair.
trash, but it
If
was
I was
nice to fly.
if I was releasing one day, I would have released 2 episodes at a time.
Like just on his own would have been a
I'd
bit
have
too
done
slow.
1, 2, then 3, like 1, 2 this week, 3, 4 next week. But Netflix is weird because, like you said, Netflix
It's
shows are
designed for
built
that. Yeah.
like it's not a mistake. They know, like they write it and shoot it in a way that it works better as a binge. Like and yeah, that's the Netflix model, whatever. But yeah, one day makes sense. But again,
I'm
I
trying to
also
think
just
of
don't like
something
having.
before the era of binging. And I can't think of anything now. It'll come to me. I'll be ready for it next week.
Yeah, no,
Next.
because before the era of binging was network TV, in which was
Mm-hmm.
everything is wrapped up in an hour. So like it was built to be a standalone episode. So you can't really
But there's some
like.
now that I look back that I binge and I'm like, oh, this is nice. I'm enjoying
I
this
think
flow.
so. I think that's because the shows are not as good. So binging helps you forget about the bad parts and enjoy the good
That's
parts
for
more.
some. That is for some. Yeah, so it does cover the ass of especially like the
Yeah.
rather slow episodes I can forgive because I'm like
Yes.
right back in it.
If you watch, if you binge 20 episodes, people are like, oh, let's bring back 20 episodes of TV. I'm like, okay, but you guys know that half of those were not good episodes of TV. They just needed to get this out this week. Like it's just that's just the way
Yeah,
TV production was. Like
I guess. Okay,
as
no,
long
but
as you're okay with that,
think about 24. 24 is I binged 24. I hadn't watched the first few
fair.
seasons at the time, so I binged it. Oh God,
The
orgasmic!
20,
It was
24 is
so
something.
fun,
Yeah, 24 is something that can definitely work now because
but
again, that's like
individually,
yeah, but that's like one episode is an hour now, so like
yeah.
it's like an hour in real time. So that's like a not gimmick sounds weird, but like a an idea,
So it
a
worked
thing to
perfectly
work
for
with.
like weekly,
Yeah,
but then
it's not like
it's sweeter when binging. It's so much sweeter.
yeah, because yeah, that can make sense. Okay, I can go with that. I can go with that. Like Good Wife season 5 is
Shout
one of
out
my best
Jagba.
seasons of TV. I'm just like there's still some
I
episodes that are like
never finished
not
Good Wife.
great.
I
Maybe you
never
should
finished
stop.
it for that exact season. Girl, after this, I said, girl, sorry, it's season one. I was like, leave this man. I beg. I can't. I don't like disgrace. I don't like embarrass. I don't understand. So she was irritating me. I was like, why? I am so fine. What's this?
It's,
Like, please no. And it was
it's too
this
much.
fucking guy. She was that same guy that plays Big in the Six and
Yeah.
City. Oh, so now I hated Big. I hate him. His face just pissed me off. I was like, no, I
Oh,
couldn't.
it's
But yeah,
funny.
it's an amazing show. One day, I'm
Yeah,
sure, in like my 40s, I'll watch
I
it.
think The Good Wife season 5 is one of my best seasons of TV
Is that what they killed?
across
What's his
all.
name?
Yeah, it is across all platforms like streaming, HBO, whatever. I just think
Really?
the work they were able to do on network TV over 23 episodes in that one season is so good. I think Good Wife season 5 is one of the best seasons of TV I've ever
I might
watched.
skip and just watch it.
Um,
I might.
I don't hit as much. That's the problem. Like, because for
Who be
example, that
looking
guy's
at that
death
man?
might not hit, but that guy's death might not hit as much because you're not invested in him.
Oh yeah, I guess I have
I'm
to
trying to
see
avoid
that
spoilers for a
whole
show that
lot.
came out 12 years ago. I
Look.
guess.
I used to. I know all the spoilers, but I mean, I knew he died. So,
Yeah.
because I remember the whole thing. But it's oh my god! I was like,
Hmm.
who is this? So I
Yeah.
read
I
the
knew he died
whole.
before I started watching the show, so that
Oh
was
yeah. So you were ready.
yeah.
We'll see.
Um,
But yeah,
and
I
it was
feel
back in
like
that time where like people still do it now. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say I feel like the sympathizer I would have enjoyed it more if I binged it all. I
Yeah,
think.
and
I
I
can't tell.
that is because I think that's because maybe because we are not fully on board. So it would have been easier for you to like yada yada the parts that you're not fully on board with
Mm,
and appreciate the parts that you like more. I think that's just not have happened if you binged it. But let's see what happens next week. Like I said,
Let's see, Sha.
this was a great episode for me. This was like, but you know when things are built for you,
Yes, you've said you
like
like this format of
yeah. So like I know I
storytelling.
am biased. Like I know I'm like it's like it has actors I like playing actors. It has RDJ playing a director based on his dad. It has like
Yeah,
an entire episode based on filmmaking. Like it's they took me to a lab. I'm like, what do you want to see? And I was like, it's this. And I'm like, okay, like take.
fair.
So it's
It was
fine.
a it
Yeah.
was a good it was a good hour of TV. I would say that. I would say that. I'll give them that. But God, I'm begging them, please next week bring me back because
So
I'm lost. I am
I mean,
lost in this
I would say
story.
this. Hopefully, I'm just the last three episodes directed by the same person.
Hmm.
So
So maybe this really
hopefully,
was
no,
just a
hopefully that
little
helps.
blip.
Yeah, hopefully that helps to your point. That helps to your
Yeah.
point, and like the next three are the final push. I don't know. Hopefully,
Let's
because
see.
I would like that as well. I want to like I want to see the spy story 100%. I hope I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope if this was a detour, then I'm so fine with it because I enjoyed this detour. But anyway,
Let's see.
yeah,
Let's see.
I think we can end it there. Do you have
All
anything
right.
you haven't touched on?
No, except yet again, this is the fourth episode. I'm still like, let's see next week to see if they. I'm losing faith too, but let's go. Let's see if they can bring it home. Final stretch. We're more than halfway through now. Let's see.
Well, no, no, let's not. What Redcon? Last week you were very on board.
And look at me now.
Yeah,
I'm
so
back to
maybe
square
next
one.
week you. Yeah, well, maybe, but so it's not like it's 4 weeks of air. It's like
It's
one you were.
it's like
It's
this
just up
is
and down.
flipping
It's up
flop.
and down.
I don't feel
It's
stable in
halfway.
this relationship. This is okay.
I heard some of the best ones. I don't know. That's what people were saying. That's what the streets are saying.
Yeah, the last day are some
That's
of the
some of the
best
best.
ones.
No, no, best relationships are the ones you don't feel stable in.
That's what. Hmm. Don't listen to him. You guys don't listen to this. I will lead you astray. Those ones are best for sex only. They are not good for us.
I
Escape. Anyway, this is why we're here to review TV.
anyway,
Don't take dating advice from here.
every week we tell you guys what not to do from here. Whether it's don't take history, don't take it.
We just remind you what we do here.
What we do here is just film on TV. But on that note, Tamara, thank you very much. Next week, Kachi will be back. I'm interested to know what Kachi's thoughts on this episode. Where I'll ask him
Yes, we'll
next week.
ask him. Yeah.
But yeah, guys, thank you for listening. I hope you thank you for staying this long. If you did stay with this episode, uh, uh, yeah, we'll be back next week with Oscar winner Daniel Kaluuya. Bye, guys.
Bye.